Hey guys, the countdown has begun. In just a few short days, I'm going to be on ground at the plantation. Now, if you watched my last video, you know a little bit about what I'm talking about. This plantation that I'm going to get to hunt was built by my four-time great-grandfather, Wiley Pope. Now, he was born in North Carolina, but by 1812, he's in Georgia, and he's fighting in the War of 1812 with Andrew Jackson. And because he was a veteran of that war, in 1827, Georgia had a land lottery, and he had 2 draws in this land lottery, and he won 2 lots. Each lot in the draw was 202.5 acres, and so his land was in southwest Georgia. So he's got a little over 400 acres. He moves his family down there, does some trading, and before long, he's got a plantation a little over 900 acres in size. So they grew rice, they grew cotton, and yes, they had slaves. According to the records that I found, the most number of slaves on the plantation, I think, was 23, and even their names are listed. You know, it's history, guys. It's not for us to rewrite it or try to pretty things up. We just need to remember it so that we don't repeat mistakes of the past. That's one of the great things about knowing and learning history. So Wiley Pope is on the plantation. He lives to be an old man and is buried on the plantation, but his sons didn't. They all died very young, and my 3-time great-grandfather, Daniel Pope, died in his 30s. Now, he managed to have some children, and one of those was named Andrew Jackson Pope. Kind of ironic, but that was a very popular name back in those days. Andrew Jackson leaves the plantation when he's 14 years old because he has to go find work. Doesn't have a dad. There's lots of kids in the house. And so he goes off to find work, and he goes down to the Gulf Coast of Florida. Now, what's weird about this whole thing to me, and kind of cool, is I'm going to be retracing his steps on this trip. I'm actually going to Florida for a wedding before I come back up to Georgia and metal detect. And I'm going to the exact location in Florida that Andrew Jackson helped settle. So, Andrew Jackson is in Florida, and he's married, but 1861 rolls around, the start of the Civil War, so he returns to the plantation, and him and 4 other members of the family fight in the Civil War. 2 of them died, and 2 were maimed. Andrew Jackson survived the war. He was in some big battles. He was actually in Devil's Den at Gettysburg. But in 1864, he caught a mini ball in his right hand, and it shattered it, and he had his thumb amputated. And so he was furloughed back to southwest Georgia to the plantation for the last few months of the war. And he stayed there until 1869, when he decided to move and return back to the Gulf Coast area of Florida. And that's where my family line leaves the plantation. Some of the things that I really love in the story are they're all built up around the Pope women, who were some very strong-willed, intelligent, capable women. One by the name of Sarah Pope was in complete control of the plantation after Wiley died and after the Civil War. And if you know anything about history, that was a bad time in the South. There was no money, and speculation on land was everything was going crazy financially. So for a very brief period of time after the Civil War, the plantation was actually lost. We don't know how she managed to do it, but Sarah Pope came up with $10,000 and immediately purchased the plantation back. There was a deep love for that land in my family, and Sarah was like Wiley Pope, and she held on to it as long as she could. So the land stayed in the family until the early 1900s. Now, the people who own it now are just incredible. They too have deep ties to that land. They've maintained this cemetery. They didn't have to do that. They've maintained it. They've bought new headstones. And best of all, the acreage for the old plantation has been made a preserve. It's not going to be developed. and that is just incredible. So I can't wait to get down there. Hopefully I can find some little pieces of my family past. It's going to be a fun hunt. Well, I got a sad story for you guys. That's a tannery token, and I put it in my pocket, and it broke because I don't have a fines box. So before I go on my big trip down to the plantation, I decided I need to get one, but guess what just showed up in the mail? Okie Surf and Turf Metal Detecting has sent an incredible box, a fines box, and check out what is inside it. Gold coins. Okay, those are chocolate. You say chocolate around here.
Chocolate.
And you draw a crowd in a hurry. So, those won't last long. But check out what else is in the box. Brushes. Toothpicks. He sent some, he just threw some change in there to show me what it looked like. An old key he found and a Washington State tax token. This is absolutely perfect. He makes these guys. And I've got a prototype. That's awesome. Couldn't come at a better time. Thanks so much, Joe. I absolutely love it. You guys pay attention to Okie Surf and Turf Metal Detecting channel, because in the near future, you might be able to get one of these yourself. And I think you'll love it. It's perfect size to go in a pocket. Absolutely love it. Thanks a lot. Alright, well I wasn't sure I was going to get any hunting in on this video. But I did get a few things found. Went back to the tannery, decided to make sure that old Yeller's running along good so it don't quit on me down there at the plantation. Caught on some cool little relics. Well, I just got a cool badge, and it was right on the surface. Hartford Insurance Group. It says Junior something. Haven't been able to make out the bottom yet. It's kind of cool. I didn't have to dig a tiny hole. Good sound. Well, that's a good way to start the day off right there. That's actually a bucket lister, I think. What would you call that? I've always wanted to find a hatchet head. And that's either what that is or a very small axe, but I'm going with hatchet. Very cool. I just got a neat little 2-hole sewing button. Always like finding those. Thing was loud though. I thought it was going to be a can. I'll take it. Check it out, guys. An old key plate. Or lock plate, I guess you'd call that. No, it's not a lock plate. Keyhole. It is whatever you want it to be. Sounded nice though. I like it. Well, that's an interesting little thing. What do you think it is? I think it's a hinge of some sort. There's a screw hole right here. But it's got that hook on it. I don't know. It's cool looking though. Alright, I got a coin, but I think it's been in an accident. If it's a coin and not a flattened piece of lead. But it rang up low 70s. And I'm hoping that's an Indian that's been flattened on a railroad track. I guess it could be a token too, but it could be a nickel too. Could be a weedy too. What do you say we clean it off? Alright, we got it figured out. We have a smashed weedy. That's pretty cool. It's about the size of a nickel now. Pretty cool little, we'll call that a cross between a relic and a coin. How's that?